Well, I want to thank you guys for checking us out. This is the first episode of Co-Parenting Confessions, and I am, of course, your host, Alysha Price, co-parenting coach, and all things get over your shit as it relates to co-parenting. So that's who it is. That's what we are. And I'm so excited to share that I have a very special guest today, Sara Simmons, who you all know, I know you know, because it was my guilty pleasure of Love After Lockup.
Yes, Love After Lockup and Life After Lockup.
Right? Like it was at season 1 that you were?
I was season 2 of Love After Lockup, and it was supposed to be a one and done season. Yeah.
Wow. So today we got Sara. I mean, Sara is, I think, one of my favorites from the entire series and cast, right? Because you went through so many ups and downs. We watched you, be in love, think through what love looked like, be a parent, and you gave your all. I mean, I know that there was nothing fake about what happened on that show. If anybody questioned it, all they had to do was just watch any segment that had Sara in it. So without further ado, yay, we have Sara. Thank you so much for spending time today to share. And just, people who don't know you, let them know, who you are and that you were on the show, which seasons and all that good stuff.
Well, yeah, first off, I want to say thank you for having me. I think what you do is amazing. I think that a lot of us kind of lack that support, and it's very much needed, I would say. And I think you're a wonderful person just off of what I've, talked to you thus far. I think you're great.
Yes.
Love your energy. And I'm really proud of you too. I mean, it's an incredible experience going through, a relationship situation and turning it into a co-parenting situation. It's terrifying. It's horrible. I mean, but at the same time, probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people, I think, miss, or, when they're going through the thick of things, would absolutely not understand. Like I was saying to you before, one of the craziest things for me is that my co-parenting ups and downs, trials and tribulations, and for lack of a better way of saying it, my co-parenting bullshit turned into my career. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for that. And the fact that I can now look back and laugh at some of the things that I can't believe hurt me so bad at that time. When you look back at yourself on the show, what are the things that you now laugh at that maybe hurt?
It's funny that you say laugh at it, because we do, look back in hindsight, and we do have those moments where, even in my situation where I can watch it, it's not just in my head, like I'm watching myself.
Right.
So having that is definitely, I think, a bonus for me that a lot of people don't have, but it's kind of like when you're looking back laughing at it, it's almost like you're having a celebration of where you are now versus what you were in then or feeling then, or all of it. It's the journey, like I said, is very terrifying. It's very long. There's so much growth in it, so much perspective. It's intentional, and you don't really see that at first. And it's just, the laughing is just all those mini celebrations of thank God I got here. And then you look back and you think of all the people that told you would get here and you didn't believe them. And that's kind of the fun of it, though. Going through it by yourself is the fun of it.
Was there any particular thing that you saw, that you like cringed at?
Yeah, you didn't even answer your question. I would have to say being so reactive. I'm not a patient person. That's something that I've lacked a lot in my life. Like, I'm like, let's go, let's handle business, on to the next, like no time to waste. And it's not that I want to take out from the experience of life or anybody. It's just who I am. I'm quick. I'm focused. I'm organized. It's just, what I embody. So it's my patience. I've always known how to work on it, but then I had to relay that it's not just my patience, it's my reaction and how they come together, where if I have more patience in a situation to sit and think and just have some time without any outside influence, even my partners, then I may have been able to handle myself better, and been able to have a little bit more dignity and throughout, more respect for myself throughout.
Yes.
But looking back on all those moments, I'm not embarrassed either, because I'm like, if anybody sits there, watches what I've done and says that they haven't done at least a little bit of that,
Absolutely.
themselves, not me.
Absolutely. There's no way that any mother who loves as hard as I saw you loving, or to that degree, there's no way that they could say they hadn't done some of the same things. There are times that I watched you on the show and I was like, oh my gosh. And I said this to you, like, if I could just sit with Sara, I just want to talk to her. And I went through a lot of very similar things. So cheating was a major thing for me, and what made, the co-parenting thing difficult, or even launched us into a co-parenting space, right? It was just like, oh, okay, so we're cheating and we're lying now, right? So now that means I have to break up with you. And now what does this mean, for us in terms of co-parenting? I remember watching on the show you having an issue with Michael going or bringing the girls around any other women. And that was a struggle for me initially. And one of the things that pushed me into being able to co-parent was the moment I gave up that fight. And that was for me personally. I literally dropped my son off to the woman's house that my son's father had cheated on me with. So he ended up staying with her for a period of time, and I would drop my son off and pick my son up. And it took something out of me, I think, every time I dropped him off and picked him up. But I was like, you know what? I care so much about having my own peace and, helping them to build a relationship, that I let it go. But for you, what I watched though was you didn't really even know who these people were. So I understood.
There's so many of them. But I want to say something that I think at the time I wasn't able to articulate really to anybody around me, really, where I was coming from, and what my thoughts were. And now I'm able to. And I think that we need to shine some light onto that. There's another perspective that, I'm sick and tired of hearing, and I'm tired of, and I hate to say this, but the majority of the time, the men, the fathers are telling us, the moms, you don't want the kids around her because you're jealous and you still have feelings. And then for me, you have millions of people telling you that too. And so all of that influence, it's not true. That's not the reason, but you're so caught up in it that you can't really figure out the reason either. You just know you don't, my reason was, oh, I didn't know him. Oh, there's so many of them. But let me tell you the truth. The truth is, my children, from what they've known, young or not, we all have feelings, we all have energy. They were used to mommy and daddy, Michael and Sara, being together, kissing, holding hands, being affectionate. That's how they were created. We're not dumb, we're human beings. You can't honestly tell me that we're not even done with our situation yet. We haven't even figured out what we're really doing. And I'm having another child, and she's going to be thrown in this situation. So hold on a second. You can go do whatever you want to do with these women. You can go fuck them. You could kiss them. You could take them out to eat. I don't really care. I really don't care, because I don't want a man that doesn't want just me. I only cared that my kids didn't understand. My kids needed that added pressure, that added stress to not upset mommy, because this shouldn't be happening. Why is daddy kissing somebody else? They're dealing with uncomfortable feelings, adjusting, change, just being kids. They don't even know what's going on. And I knew from my daughter is who she is. Being who she is, she's very sensitive, very intuitive to her feelings, and very expressive. Very intelligent about it. I can tell she felt wrong for being with her dad and another woman, even though she wasn't. And why is my little girl feeling those things for him? For his convenience. And not one time did he crawl out of his own ass long enough to see that there is 2 other individuals that I'm advocating for, and I haven't even said shit about how I feel about it yet.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a good point. You know, to your point, it's like the things between you and him weren't settled yet. So
Right.
how could you be open to involving someone else and bringing somebody else into the equation? And a lot of
Because
times,
it's just messy at that point.
yeah,
There's no real purpose to it. And that's what I was trying to tell. Now, you want to marry somebody else and do whatever with somebody else, fine. But you can't just get to the top with,
yeah,
snapping your fingers. You
yeah,
just can't.
yeah.
And,
No,
and
that's good.
we shouldn't have, we should have done a lot better. And I say we were
Mhm.
young. He should have done a lot better. But coming to where I am today, with co-parenting, let's talk about
Yeah,
co-parenting, and the
yeah,
truth about that is that you really can only control your own position in it.
absolutely.
And if there is something called co-parenting where they don't exist, they're at afar, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, it's constantly changing. It sucks and it'll never be perfect. And we honestly, no one knows what's right. Nobody knows what's the best for
Absolutely.
those kids. Nobody knows what's the best for them. Zero clue.
Yeah,
We're playing a game we don't know the rules to. We
yeah,
can't see it.
yeah,
And I just know that I base what he's doing, I base my parenting to those kids. I raise them for what the situation he's putting them through. Instead of fighting with him, hey, stop doing this. Hey,
yeah,
stop
yeah.
hurting their feelings. Call them more. Come see them more. I've stopped that. I don't care anymore.
Good.
My co-parenting energy is now I can only control me. What can I do about the situation
Yeah,
as a mom? Because it's not going to be talking to the dad. It's going to be raising my kids to, in a weird way, distraction
yeah, yeah,
from the negative and the bad. And look at all these people who love you. Look at how I'm raising you. I'm paying attention to you. I'm talking you through it. Because unfortunately, kid, this is life. And I
yeah,
have to tell my family the same thing. Like, shouldn't you do this for them? No.
yeah,
Honestly, it's life. I've done what I can.
yep,
But then there's also a part of it where that's their dad and that has nothing to do with me.
yeah. You know what I love to touch on? Your best friend.
Mhm.
So that was a whole nother dynamic because you
He's
had
the
this,
best.
you had this dope ass friend who was like, no matter what, I'm here, I got your back. But she was very vocal about disagreeing with a lot of the ways that you felt, with, recognizing manipulation that was happening. Where are you at with your friend? Are you guys still just as close? And what is that?
I would say we're even closer now. Emmy and I, we're to the point where it's unconditional. We definitely feel like we're soulmates, not in that way, just in that friendship
Yes.
way. I know a
Yep.
lot of rumors like, oh, she's in love with you. No, like that is my best friend. That's my sister. That's
Yep.
just somebody that I was meant to meet in his life and have throughout my life because we're total opposites.
Yeah.
Another thing I wish somebody could see, like, look at other areas of my life to determine
Yes.
who I am. Stop
Yep.
looking at my character sitting next to Michael, because if you
Yep.
were sitting next to him, you would be changing it. Look at who I was outside of that. Emmy and
Yep.
I, complete opposites, completely different, but we are the best of friends.
Yep.
Why? Because we took the time to learn who we were. We
Yep.
love each other
Yep.
for who we are as people. And she hates when I say this. I said, but we tolerate each other. We're able
Yeah.
to tolerate each other and
That's a
just
big
let
part
each
of
other
love.
like, hey, that's not for me,
Yep.
but whatever. Just, don't inconvenience my time.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you go do you, I'll go do me, or
Yep.
whatever. And we love each other for doing our weird little quirks because it's
Yes.
like, that is our character.
Yep. And
And
a big piece of healing, and let me know if you agree with this, but a big piece of healing is having like the right type of support, having a village of people around you that you can vent to, that you can say, hey, guess what? I slid back in, the bed again, and I didn't necessarily mean
you're
to do that.
supposed to.
You know?
You're supposed to. When you leave, let's just say your baby dad, when you leave your baby dad, you're supposed to at least have sex like 6 to 10 more times, if not more, out of 0. You're supposed to. Why? Because if you don't, then where is that closure? And I don't give a shit. People are like, closure isn't real. Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is. Because
There
I'll tell you something,
absolutely
if
has to
it
be.
comes down
Yeah.
back around years later and you're still wondering if it's still there, I know for certain it ain't there for me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I don't even think it really was in there. I mean, it was I can't, nope, I'm turned off.
Yeah.
that, and I needed that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's that intimacy's gone, that romantic relationship
Yeah.
that's gone, and now we're indifferent, and you have to become indifferent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And is it true too for you though, once the sexual relationship ended, you were able to really focus a little bit more on you as an individual, and then kind of that shift of like, this isn't about me trying to build a relationship with him and the kids, it's about me supporting myself and supporting them.
well, real quick, towards the end, yeah, and this was years ago, mind you, but towards the
Yeah.
end, was I sleeping with Michael? Like, I wasn't confused at that point. Like, let
Yeah.
me get mine. I just had a
Okay.
baby. I don't what? Like, I just had your baby. At least I can go here and get mine because I'm first of all, I don't judge anybody else, but do I judge myself? Yes, I hold myself to a certain standard. I'm not going to have sex with somebody, number one, pregnant with someone else's child. Number two, right after I gave birth, or even around. So, and plus I'm pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get mine. And he's literally the only human I can right now.
Right.
Because I had it for 10 years. I wasn't confused. I could probably still do it today. I wouldn't want to, but I could and still not be confused. I'm all set.
Yeah.
It was the time that I had to, it clicked. And I'll tell everybody this, my advice is number one, yes, you need support because you're not in a place where you can look at yourself in the mirror and say you're beautiful and amazing. And you need somebody to tell you that.
Yep.
And it's a real thing. You need to remember, and you kind of need somebody to put that in you.
Yeah.
Once they do, you take it from there. But it's really like, I did not want to be with a man who couldn't even love his kids correctly. I couldn't do it anymore. I was so turned off by it. How would I ever seriously think this man could love me?
Yeah.
Look at how he's loving those two girls.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
I don't want a man like that. And they're my kids and you can't even be a father. I'm all set.
That's a great point. There's a lot of times women will say things like, I can't be with a man who doesn't take care of his children, who doesn't see his children. So like when he gets in another relationship, and then there are women that can actually be with him knowing he's not, consistent with the kids.
Bringing up why, if a woman is with him and is not supporting a better relationship and is almost supporting him going the opposite direction, yes, I don't need any other information. I'm all set with that bitch too. Yep. She's nothing to me. Yep. Now my kids are a little older, and with Maria, it's like, okay, hey, Aviana's like, Mom, you don't like her, do you? Nope. Yep. Sure don't, Aviana. She's 7 now. Sure don't. I really don't like her. She says, well, I do. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I said, well, if you want to go stay with Daddy when he's up here for a week, if you feel comfortable doing that, go for it. You're not, I said, I want you to know you're not wrong. I'm not upset. I love you. I said, Mom needs a break anyway too. She says, all I want you to do is bring me in. Okay, great. Yeah. I'm so happy to walk in and give you a hug and smile and be great. Right. Why? Because my kid needed that. And I even called my baby dad and I said, listen, I'm walking in there. Can't tell me shit. So should anyway to make sure you actually are in that hotel room. Yeah. And I said, and warn her to be nice and smile in front of Aviana when I'm there. Yeah. It went fine. It was 5 seconds. Okay, cool. Aviana's like, I'm good now. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Good.
That's all it takes.
So is he still with Maria?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as I was preparing for this, I'm like, let me go back and watch some things. And the one thing that I chose to really dive into was the clip where he came to you and he said, I'm coming, I'm giving everything, I'm opening up, I'm telling you, I've been in this terrible toxic relationship and, I need your support. She flipped out on the way to the airport. Like he's just confiding in you, right? Telling you everything about this other woman, which I'm sure it was very difficult to sit calmly through that. Like, okay, your life is so in shambles. I'm the one raising 2 kids and you're telling me about how this woman has made you feel. What do you think about his choices and decisions and the fact that you know all of that or knew all of that and then he went back to that?
For one, with going from relationship to co-parenting, like I said, it's completely 2 separate things. Like Michael still struggles to understand that. It's not me, it's him. Yes. When I tell you, I don't want this or that, it's not saying I think you ain't shit. I'm telling you as mom to their father, it's not happening.
Yep.
because of the kids. But to skip forward to that, yes, you fall out of love with this person. Yes, you're not attached to them anymore. You don't need them. They're not significant, whatever. But you still care about this person. You still spent all those years with this person. Essentially, me and him grew up together. So on one hand, hearing him go through hell, it's sad.
Yep.
It's not that it breaks my heart.
Yep.
It's not that I think about it all the time and cry about it. It's just, yo, bro, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the second side of it, it's like I don't say fear anymore. It used to be, but the only thing I don't want to do is have to tell mainly Aviana, because Rain's not used to him like that. Rain, she's great. Aviana is your dad's back in jail or prison for, for at this point, because how many strikes does he have? Or your dad's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to tell her or Rain that.
Yes.
It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. Yes, my kids will be fine. Yes, I'll be fine. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll handle it. Yes, I'll do it correctly. I have very much confidence in my parenting. Like, the most confident of anything in my life is me parenting.
Yep.
It's just, I don't hurt that, oh, that's what you chose, or
right.
Oh, haha, that's so great that your karma is coming to. No, I don't feel any of that. Right. I'm indifferent. I don't care.
And it's clear that you care about him as a person, though.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I could see as a common thread throughout. And I wonder, does it have a lot to do with the fact that you guys did grow up together? Because my son's father and we actually knew each other since we were in the 4th grade. And so I knew him as a person before we became parents.
Right.
So that made it a little bit easier for me. And I think some people say to me like, oh, Alicia, you have this, this tolerance or this zest and this, excitement about how co-parenting can be because you're co-parenting with someone you were actually friends with. But that hurts hella different. And a lot of people don't understand
because you remember that one scene where I go into the hotel with my kids. Oh, everyone knows the scene because he was holding Rain the entire time and really bad parenting, but I don't want to hear it because everyone argues in front of those kids and it's bad and it's wrong and we shouldn't. But I'm not saying we do it all the time. I'm not saying it's 10 hours long.
Right.
Has an argument started in front of them kids
Absolutely.
at some point, multiple times. And we'll have to look at each other and be like, oh, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
The kids will have to remind us sometimes, like, why are you arguing? Like,
yeah.
But we're not horrible parents.
Yeah.
If anything, what were we supposed to do with our kid? Like, shit popped off. But anyway, that was one of my favorite scenes. Very few people saw it the way they should have. A lot of people attacked me. You're still in love with this man, and oh my God, I want to pull my hair out.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is everyone still seeing that? Because I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, like, go, bitch. Like, you said that. Like, and what I was trying to relay is, I am a person.
Yeah.
I was your best friend. Okay. You left me to be a single mom. I felt that was disrespectful. I felt like that was neglecting me and abandoning me, and you didn't have to. And so I was just hurt as Sara, not his wife, not his baby mama.
Yep.
It's just like, weren't we here before kids were even a thought? Before when we were kids, teenagers, like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys lived in different states. So how was it that what was the origin of your relationship? Like,
we didn't always.
Okay.
I was born and raised in upstate New York. My mom died when I was 12. So, things went on when my dad wasn't able to grow up with him, moved in with my grandma. So at 18, I was technically on my own. She wasn't legally my guardian anymore. So I left a note, packed my stuff, moved down south, ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, created a life for myself, was dating this guy. And that's how I met Michael. Michael was his best friend, hooks Michael up with my best friend. And we were always, every time the four of us would hang out, it was always Michael and I at the end of the night, like having fun because we just related more. We were friends for a long time, being there for each other in our other relationships. And so we got to learn each other in that way. We already learned how we were romantic partners. And we weren't trying to impress each other. We were real. Yeah. And so it just happened. And then when I got pregnant with Aviana, he wasn't supportive. He said some really horrible things to me about it. And I felt really alone. We were living in a hotel. We were young. We were broke. I was paying for everything, even though he was doing fine. Yeah. And I called my dad and I said, I need a flight back to New York. like, I'm pregnant too.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's like, I was 19. My dad was like pissed. He was pissed.
Wow.
I had to live on a porch,
Mm.
pregnant, with just the clothes I was wearing, move back to New York. My family wasn't all that, all that rich at the time. They weren't ready for their grown kid to move back in with a kid.
Yep.
So when he got locked up right after I had her, we were doing good at that point again. He was moving to New York. We were going to be fine. Boom, he goes to prison.
Wow.
Something happened 1 week after Aviana was born. I got a text saying I'm shot, I'm in the hospital or something. He ends up going for 3 years. I'm holding a newborn baby. I get the news on the phone. He says, yo, I got 3 years. I'm like, you just did 5 before I met you. I don't know. I'm just a new mom. Here you were supposed to come live with me. Now you're gone for 3 years. I have nothing.
Wow.
And while he was gone for 3 years, I busted my ass. I took care of my kid. I'm not sending you money. I'm not feeding you unless you're dying, because I have to feed our kid. I have to create a life for us when you get out of here. I only got 3 years to fucking do it by myself and raise a kid. And so we kind of had this unwritten understanding, unspoken understanding of get it elsewhere because I'm not the one. You landed yourself in prison. And so he didn't like that. He took that like, oh, she didn't take care of me. Well, did you sleep good at night?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Why? Because you didn't worry about your daughter not 1 second.
Yeah.
That's what I did for you. You're welcome. And to
I
this day,
love that you shared that, because I bet you so many people don't even know, like the fact that you're even saying it was kind of an unspoken, unwritten, get it elsewhere. So he started talking to whomever and whoever.
I didn't ask, you didn't tell.
Yep.
But what are you going to do in prison? You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And I never thought, I didn't know this show existed. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody. I never thought a woman would fall in love with a man who was locked up, especially Michael. He like, I didn't think like he would really get caught up like that. I kind of knew he was a finesser and he was this flirt, but come on, like I knew who you were before I even got with you.
How the hell did you guys end up on the show?
Megan.
She wrote, and that's how you guys.
Yes, well, mind you, Michael had to chase after me for months. Okay, I knew he was like ain't shit. I knew he was a player. I knew who he was. He had to come after me for a very long time, and I really didn't want to commit to him for a very long time. So he proposed before he went into prison too, because he was moving to New York. He proposed in real life, 1 knee ring, all that. Yeah. So it was real for me. This girl is now engaged to him. Meanwhile, we had to get married in prison because if he wanted to parole somewhere, it needed to be family. And he didn't have any family in New York. And you got me fucked up if your ass isn't coming to be a daddy when you step out. Yeah. I don't care. And in my head, I also love the guy we were engaged. Why not?
Absolutely.
Do what's best for your family. And also, my daughter spent 3 years without you.
Yeah.
If you're not coming back in this house to take us serious, don't bother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because hello, he still happened, but
wow.
Megan wrote into the show, I'm in love with this guy from prison, never met him, the whole nine. The show comes to me on Facebook and says, hey, we just, noticed that you might be cool for this show. Do you want to do a casting video? They just bullshitted me. So I was like, okay, I get it though. So much respect. What a great reality show. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me. If I were them, I would have done the same thing. Respect on business, get your money. I got mine too, so it's fine. So I did a casting video because at the time my husband really wanted to do this. He was like, yeah, they sent us both postcards to like do a casting and they accepted him and that's why they came to me. They were good about it.
Yeah.
Long story short, I had no idea about her. Zero idea about her. Zero idea about how serious it was. Zero idea that she was even part of this show. I'm filming by myself. I go to pick him up. Zero idea she thinks she is too. Zero idea. As you could tell, like his Get Out was like one of the best ones on the show too.
Right.
Great. It was real. And then the day he got out, I got pregnant. The day he got out, the doctor said this date. I'm like, wow. Naturally,
Wow.
I wanted my daughter to have a sibling, but not right then. I was on birth control. I just didn't start soon enough, but I didn't need it. He was in prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I found out about her, all hell broke loose. I was already pregnant. Everyone already knew I was pregnant.
Right.
He did, everybody did. So I'm like, great. This is just wonderful. My daughter just got her dad back for 2 months, not even. I'm pregnant with your second kid.
Wow.
You're violating parole at the same time. I find out it was, wow, with the bitch you're cheating on me with, all on camera. All on camera. Meanwhile, the parole officer was telling me all this. The producer's standing behind me. And I got sick because like I had an 8 all day, I was pregnant, whatever. So I kind of like got like a little woozy, and the parole officer catches me and he goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm just pregnant." And it just slipped out. And the producer's like, "I knew it." And I'm like, shit. They're like, "This is gonna be a great season."
Absolutely. I mean, I'm watching this like, I know she's pregnant. I know she's pregnant. I know she's done, what I love so much though was like you were, like I said, you were willing to just put it all out there. You were absolutely real. You didn't care what people thought about you. And one of the most heartbreaking or heart opening, if you will, moments for me was watching you in therapy.
Oh.
And that breakdown, of just being like, I'm doing it all by myself. Like I'm exhausted. I'm sick of it. I'm trying so hard. And I could relate to that. I remember feeling like that. I remember just being like, I'm holding the belief. Like I feel dumb half the time because I'm accepting this, like you come visit when you have the time to, or you're picking
That's
up
it.
and I remember those moments. And so watching you, my heart just went out to you. I totally understood. What would you say to another mother who's in that predicament right now?
I would say, off of what you just said, and I'm glad you said the word accepting, we are accepting the wrong things. Mm-hmm. We're accepting the wrong things. We're focused on accepting the wrong things. We're accepting this is all that this man's willing to give, or this co-parent. Yep. This is my situation. How do I fix it? How do I fix it? Instead of accepting, this is what it is.
Yep.
This is the situation. You're a single fucking mother. You are doing it by yourself. You have to do it by yourself. The answer isn't pushing him, getting it from him. The answer isn't talking to him, bitching to him, complaining, whining, all of it. The answer is accepting that you're going to be a single mom for the rest of their lives. You're in it alone. Yeah. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can get your balance. The sooner you can figure out your rhythm, what works for you. Don't let any outside noise affect what you decide to do in your home, your children, and raise them how you see fit. Because if you don't, you're going to go insane. You're going to be so much more exhausted trying to figure out the best way for everybody else. And what's that? No.
Yep. That's real. It is that it starts with that acceptance. Mm-hmm. It's accepting your reality. The reality is this. And, as soon as you, and whatever that reality is, right? But as soon as you accept your reality, you can move forward. It's like, all right, now this is what I'm dealing with. Let's go.
And I was asking for my respect all the time, all the time. And people would tell me, Michael's dad was like my other therapist, mind you, phone calls, hours long, and it wasn't to ever talk shit about Mike. It was just like his dad, first of all, knew Mike the best. His dad, apple doesn't fall far. Mm-hmm. He's a mature, wise man who is always respected me, always has cared for me. And I lived with this guy, with Michael, for a very long time. So that's like my dad in a sense.
Yeah.
And I would tell him the truth. Like sometimes it's hard for him to hear because it's his son, but I would be telling him the truth. And he would say, "Oh, you're so aggravating." And he'd get tough with me. "You got to stop asking and start demanding for it, Sarah. You need to demand your respect." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "I am." He's like, "You're not." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
And so now I am.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Asking is different than treat. And I tell people a lot in coaching, like, let's work through strategies around how do you show a person how to treat you. Right. That's very different than saying, "Would you do this for me?" No, I'm showing you. Yep.
Same as children. Is my children, when she's sitting there screaming and crying, am I going to pay attention? I am. When I'm at the store, I'm usually like, "No, it's bothering me," one of my kids does something, I raise my voice. Oh my God, you're from that show. I love you. I'm like, it's because my kids, you know, it's yelling at my kids. I get it. You know, it's my voice. Because I spent yelling on that show all the time.
Yes.
But hell yeah, you're going to know because we're in public. Walmart or not, I'm parenting at all times. And I will walk. If he wants to lay down, excuse me, I will walk right over here. I will leave you right there. I won't even say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get up. No. And people look at me. People judge me. But you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to that because you shouldn't be disrespecting me like that either in this store. Yeah. So you're going to eventually end up getting up and following me and being quiet because I remained because I didn't say anything. It's the same thing with Michael. Well, I used to be like, you need to respect me. You need to talk to me. You need to da. Now, just the other day, I'm like, hello. And he's going off about something. He asked me a question. I'm answering. I said, you know what? I said, if you're just going to talk to whoever else instead of like be in this conversation, I said, goodbye. Hung right up.
Yeah.
He called me back twice. He said, gave you 5 minutes. Try tomorrow. I gave you my 5 minutes. That's demanding because you think tomorrow he's going to do that again? Nope.
Yep. Teaching them how to treat you. I love it. What is his relationship now with the girls, or how often does he see them? Is that consistent or?
You want to know what type of mom I am that a lot of people didn't see on the show? I bought my daughter an iPhone for Christmas. I know she was 6 at the time. I did.
Yeah.
She's very intelligent. Now I've locked it up. I don't have to explain why I did.
Yeah.
My major reason for that was I can tell that Maria had an issue with my number being on Michael's cell phone. And it's as ridiculous as it is. I'm like, you know what? My daughter really wants the phone. I'm going to get her one now because I think it'll make it easier to call her dad whenever she wants, and he'll be able to pick up because he doesn't have that bitch worried about it. Yeah. She even can know it's Aviana's phone. And I made a promise to myself, I will never call that man off that phone. I will never get on that phone and call him. I will never ruin it for her because if they catch on that I'm trying to trick him using my kids, I will never do that. So it was good. It was good. They were calling back and forth, FaceTiming all the time. Even Maria, she'd sit on FaceTime with Maria for an hour and I don't bother her.
Yeah.
You, girl. That's your phone. That's your space. I would say in the past 7 weeks, 0 party has tried to connect each other.
Wow.
I looked through that phone. There's call logs. And he has not tried to call or text, and neither is she, and she's able. And I asked her about it, you know, and there's proof in the pudding. It's not me. It's not me. Because you could have like access at any time. Absolutely. I said, why aren't you calling or texting your dad? You haven't talked to your dad in a while. She's like, because I'm just over it. Just like that. I'm like, oh, okay. You know why? She goes, well, I'm just kind of ready to see him. Just kind of over talking to him on the phone. So I figured if you wanted to see me or talk to me, you can call me or come see me. Yeah. And I just walked by and I said, okay, give a kiss on the forehead. That was cool.
I love it. I love it.
She's all attitude, like it's okay.
Yeah. And so when you talk about your relationship with her, because you did a really good job at, you know, communicating with her about what was happening. And you also mentioned like, it's okay for me to say, I don't like Maria, but you can like her. How important is it for you to, in a way that's appropriate for her, explain to her what's happening?
She comes home from school the other day and says, Mom, we had to do this exercise with kids in the class. She's going to hate me for saying this. And she said, well, we had to tell each other what we liked about each other. And she says, well, she says she liked this about me, this about me, this about me. My daughter's pretty, and I'm a top-notch mom. Like, she goes to school, okay, and she's very popular. And I'm like, okay. She goes, I told her I liked her eyes. I go, why? She goes, well, didn't really like anything about her. You know, she's not that cute. She's kind of like, you know, she doesn't brush her hair. I'm like, oh, that poor kid. She's like, but I found something, Mom. I said, like her eyes. And I said, you know what? Thank you. Hell yeah. Because if my daughter would be the type of kid to go up in there and be like, I don't really like anything. Right. Oh, could you imagine? Oh my God, I would have been so upset. That's why I tell my kid the truth. Yeah. Right there, because I don't like this girl. Can't find anything to like about her. But sometimes, Aviana, we have to fake it till we make it. We got to do what we got to do because we are nice people and we are good people. Yeah. And I said, and sometimes you'll learn that you can only be truly honest with only a select few. And that's what I'm trying to teach her. And so that girl tells me everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, when you get out the car in the gas station, I say all the swear words. Okay. So when
So
I pump
she's
gas,
telling
you're in
on
there saying,
herself.
TikTok, hell damn, like that's what you're doing. She's like, yeah. She goes, are you mad at me? I'm like, no. I
Right,
said, are you
right.
saying to
Oh,
anybody? She
okay.
goes, no. I said, honey, I kind of wish I could tell her some things you don't really need to tell me. Like we've all done it, but I can't because
Yes.
love and the honesty.
Yeah.
And it makes us very close and it makes my job a hell of a lot easier to parent her. I'm able to parent what she needs me to in areas that she needs
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not just waste my time.
Yeah.
So
I love it. So one of the last things I really want to talk with you about is the fact that you mentioned you lost your mom when you were 12. A
mhm.
big thing that I think is or has a lot to do with the way that I have loved and the way that I love unconditionally is that I've dealt with codependency and the way of there being drug abuse and alcoholism within my family. And I've loved people throughout those things. And I wonder sometimes with your own upbringing or the fact that you didn't have your mom, did that make you cling in a way on to Michael a little bit harder?
Slightly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I realized not in the codependency way of a man,
Yep, yep.
more or less my person, more or less my best
Absolutely.
friend, more or less my rock, somebody that I was
Yep,
100% real and vulnerable with, somebody
yep.
that outside of my mom actually at this point would know me the best. And
Mhm.
so, like I said, we kind of like raised each other a little bit. Like I took him to get his driver's license. Like we started a lot of new stuff together. We were
Yeah,
homeless together a couple of times. Like we've been through hell. So yeah, he became like my brother sometimes, my cousin, my dad, my best friend, my man, like you name
yep.
it. We were it
He
for each other.
filled that void for a long time.
Yeah, I think that that's, not that I was damaged from it, but I was missing out on something from
Mhm.
losing my mom. And
Absolutely.
that's why I'm really thrilled about my experience is that everyone's like, oh, you're damaged goods or you think you're gonna be. And it's like, no, because like I've said, I have thanked Michael. I have thanked him in a series like I'm blessed for all the wisdom and the strength you have given me. And
Yes.
that's why this is my favorite experience because I don't think I would ever be this good of
Yep.
a mom, this good of a person if I didn't lose my mother, unfortunately, if I didn't go through what I went through with Michael. And I love who I am. I really
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. I think that's great. My son, and I can say this with just 100%, just authenticity and transparency. My son's father and I, the things that we endured and went through and learned together, absolutely 100% made me who I am. He played an enormous role in being the person that I am today. And I thank him for it all the time as well. It might be a random text like, hey, thank you. I thank him for my son. My son is now 19, which is crazy. I cannot believe that I can think back to scenarios that take me right back, like, oh, he just did this shit just yesterday. But we've come so far, and I'm so grateful for the father that he is and for the co-parent that he's become. But we went through a lot of shit. And one of the reasons why I wanted to create this co-parenting confessions platform was to be able to share the ups and the downs and kind of like, where are we now? What's happening now? So what do you want people to know about where you are now, what you're doing now, who you are now?
Who I am now, I'm just confident, but not the fake kind,
Yeah.
the kind where everyone likes me. Hell yeah. It's more or less, I don't really care if you
Yep.
do or you don't.
Yeah.
I learned confidence in what I was doing, as parenting, who I am as a person, what
Mhm.
I want to do in my life. Instead of thinking about it, I just try to get up and do it. I've noticed that bravery has always been a little bit of an issue with me and a lot of people. We
Yeah.
have to be brave enough because we're always going to be okay. It will
Yeah.
always work out. Things always have to finish somewhere, somehow.
Mhm.
And the more you sit back and the more you're patient and quiet, the more it'll work out. The
Yeah.
more you'll end up knowing, the more you'll see. And so right now I'm just really enjoying this new person of myself. My kids are 3 and 7 now.
Yes.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that I have 2 kids, 3 and 7. People say all the time, like, you do? Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. They're like, wow, you know? And people come to me all the time for co-parenting advice. People come to me all the time for relationship advice. And it's, yeah, like I'm thrilled about it.
Yep.
It's flattering, but I'm like, thank God, because here's
Yes.
how you do it, girl. Like, let me tell you, like, thank God, sit down. You have a second?
Yep.
Because I
Yep.
am so good at this stuff. I'm so good at it because seeing it is just that much better. Being in it is just that much better. I'm
Yeah.
working really hard on my education. I graduated college last
Good
October.
for you.
So yeah, that's another, 2 kids working on the show. I was
Yeah.
also working in the restaurant, graduated college, back into school again right now, just for a little fun because I get bored.
Yeah.
Um, I've been progressing in my, my work. I got a little thing I'm working on right now that I'm about
Yeah.
to drop to, but I can't say anything yet.
I love
And
it.
then, the kids in school and
Yep.
sports and friends, and
That's
I
awesome.
have a really good life right now. Like I
That is awesome.
really do.
I love to hear that. So as we're wrapping up, I could talk to you forever, but
Yeah,
I
I
want to
know.
for sure
Me
respect
too,
your
especially
time.
about this stuff.
Yes. I asked you if you could think of, in completing the sentence, my co-parenting confession is, what would that be?
Yeah, my co-parenting confession honestly would be that it is one of the most beautiful experiences to go through. It
Mm,
really, really is. It really, really is. And it's yours. And
yep.
it's only yours. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
that's
have to
beautiful.
do it for the kids. You
Yeah.
have to. You
Yeah.
have to. So much affects kids at a young age that can really fuck them up.
Yep.
And it's so selfish to not get it together as soon as possible.
Yes. Sara, this has been amazing. I so appreciate you. I know this is not the last time that we're going to talk.
No, no,
And
probably not.
no, there's no way. And so I just, again, thank you. I wish you the best with the girls. I know they're going to be amazing. And having a mother who is so strong, so articulate, so willing and ready to just live. Like that's the biggest thing that I think that I've gotten from watching you was living out loud.
I
And,
just want my peace.
you know,
I just
because
want to chill.
if you don't live and get it over with, it's just stringing the shit on for way too long. Like you put it out there and you did what you had to do. And I'm grateful for being able to experience that through the show and seeing that, and just, wish you the best on your journey.
Well, I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, thank you
It was
so
great.
much.
It was a lot of fun.
And